You ever move somewhere new and just feel like something's wrong? I thought I was getting away from the noise, from people, from traffic, from everything. But I didn't know the quiet could be worse. Because when you live next to the woods, sometimes the woods listen back. This is the story of what happened after I moved into a house at the edge of the forest and discovered that something out there was watching me and waiting. I moved into my new house last April. It was small, quiet, and just outside a tiny Oregon town called Milburn. The backyard ended where the forest began, tall evergreens stretching out for miles. The realtor said it was a peaceful retreat. That word, peaceful, sounded perfect at the time. I was recovering from a messy breakup, and honestly, I wanted to disappear for a while. No neighbors, no noise, just me and the sound of the wind through the trees. The first few nights were fine. I unpacked boxes, set up my desk, and fell asleep to crickets. But around the fourth night, I started hearing things. Not loud, just faint movement in the woods. Footsteps, slow, crunching leaves, always stopping when I went to the window. I told myself it was deer or raccoons. But when it kept happening, every single night, I started to wonder. A week later, I decided to explore a little. There was a trail behind the house that twisted down toward a stream. The trees got denser, darker, and that's when I saw it. A large, crooked tree with a hollow near its base. Inside were small stones, or at least that's what I thought. When I looked closer, they weren't stones. They were teeth. Tiny, sharp, yellowed, dozens of them. Animal teeth, maybe. At least, that's what I wanted to believe. That night, I kept the porch light on. 2 nights later, I heard whistling. A low, tuneless whistle coming from just beyond the tree line. It started around midnight, went on for hours. Every time I looked outside, nothing. The weirdest part, the whistling stopped exactly when I turned the porch light on, then started again when I turned it off, like it was playing with me. I recorded the sound on my phone, but when I played it back, there was nothing, just static. A storm hit a few days later. When it cleared, I found footprints in the mud. Barefoot, long, thin. They led from the woods straight to my porch, and back again. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept the lights off and watched from my window. Around 2:30 a.m., I saw movement, a shadow between the trees. Too tall to be an animal, too thin to be human. It just stood there, watching. I didn't move until the sky started to turn gray. The next morning, I called the local sheriff. He came by, looked at the tracks, and shrugged. Probably kids messing around, he said. When I mentioned the teeth in the hollow tree, he frowned. You sure about that? There aren't any reports of missing pets. He didn't take a single note. Before leaving, he said something that stuck with me. Don't go too deep in those woods. Some places don't like to be walked on. That night, I fell asleep on the couch. Sometime after 3 a.m., I woke up to scratching. Not on the door, on the window. Long, slow scratches across the glass. When I turned on the light, the scratching stopped. There was a single handprint on the window. Small, pale, and upside down. I bought motion cameras the next morning and set one on the back porch. The first night, nothing. The second, static for 5 minutes at 2:14 a.m. And when the feed cleared, there was a figure standing at the edge of the woods, barefoot, head tilted, watching the house. I went outside the next day and found something nailed to the hollow tree. It was a piece of my porch camera, smashed. A week later, while walking the woods in daylight, I noticed something behind that crooked tree, a dark opening in the ground, like an old, collapsed tunnel. There were bones scattered around it, small ones, clean and dry. And near the opening, a set of fresh footprints, barefoot. I called the sheriff again, but he never showed up. When I tried calling later, the line went straight to static. That night, the whistling came back, louder this time, and mixed into it was something else. My name. I decided to leave the next morning. Packed my car, locked up, and tried to sleep one last night. But at 3:12 a.m., The sound of wood creaking woke me up. The back door was open. I grabbed my flashlight and saw footprints in the hall. They led to my bedroom. And under my bed, a face. It wasn't human anymore. Its eyes were solid white, skin gray, mouth wide and cracked like bark. It whispered, "You shouldn't have looked in the tree." I ran. Didn't stop driving until sunrise. The next day, I called a moving company to get the rest of my stuff. They called back that evening. Said when they got there, the house was gone, burned to the ground. The fire report said it started near the back wall, right where the woods began. I moved to that house for peace and quiet, and I guess I got what I wanted, because ever since I left, I've never heard a single sound from those woods again. But sometimes, when I wake up around 3 a.m., I swear I can still hear that same whistle, just faintly, like it's waiting for me to come back. If you've ever lived near the woods, and you've seen or heard something strange, don't ignore it, because maybe it's not the woods watching you. Maybe it's what lives inside them. You shouldn't have looked in the tree. Thanks for listening. If you're still awake, I'll see you in the next one.